The stars above Earth suddenly changed. Where there had been empty space moments before, massive ships now filled the sky. They were bigger than anything humans had ever built. Each ship stretched for miles, covered in strange metal that seemed to glow with its own light. Admiral Taman stood on the bridge of the Earth defense ship Soul's Pride. He had been expecting this day for years, but seeing it happen still made his hands shake. The alien fleet had appeared without warning, just like the reports from other worlds had said they would. "Sir, we're getting a message," said his communications officer. "It's coming from the largest ship." Taman nodded. "Put it on screen." The main display showed a creature unlike anything from Earth. It had blue-gray skin and 4 arms. Its eyes were large and dark, and when it spoke, its voice was deep and cold. "I am War Commander Velthar of the Kethmori Empire," the alien said. "We have come to your world as we have come to 47 others before you. You will surrender your planet within 72 Earth hours, or we will destroy your civilization completely." The alien continued speaking, but Taman barely heard the words. He was looking at the images that appeared on screen. Cities turned to ash, planets cracked and broken. Millions of lives ended in moments. The alien was showing them what happened to worlds that tried to fight. "Every species learns the same lesson," Velthar said. "Resistance brings only death. Surrender brings peace and a place in our empire. You have 72 hours to choose wisely." The message ended and the bridge fell silent. Everyone knew what those images meant. The Kethmori Empire had never lost a war. They had conquered nearly 50 worlds, and each time the result was the same. The local species would see the alien power and surrender without a real fight. Captain So-Young worked quickly at her station, running numbers through the computer. She was Earth's best military mind, and right now she was trying to find any way they could win. The results were not good. "Admiral," she said quietly, "their ships are 10 times bigger than ours. Their weapons are more powerful. Their shields can stop anything we have. In a straight fight, we would lose in less than 6 hours." Taman knew she was right, but he also knew something else. "Captain, send a message to Earth Command. Tell them we need to speak with President Ji-hoon immediately." 2 hours later, Taman was in a video call with Earth's leaders. President Ji-hoon looked tired but determined. Around him sat the heads of every major nation on Earth. "What are our options?" the president asked. General Wu Jin spoke first. "We could try to negotiate. Maybe they would accept a partial surrender, some kind of deal where we keep some freedom." "That's not how they work," said Dr. Hai Jin, who had studied every bit of information about the Kethmori Empire. "They don't make deals. You surrender completely or they destroy you. There's no middle ground." The room was quiet for a long moment. Everyone was thinking the same thing. Earth had the choice between slavery and death. "What about fighting?" asked Colonel Kyung-soo. "I know the odds are bad, but maybe we could make them pay a price. Maybe hurt them enough that other worlds might try to resist too." President Ji-hoon looked around the room. "Is that even possible? Can we hurt them at all?" Dr. Hyojin pulled up her research on the screen. "Their technology is advanced, but it's built for fighting civilized wars. They expect their enemies to follow rules, fight in predictable ways. But we've studied their past conquests, and every species they fought was either peaceful or used the same kind of military thinking they do." "You're saying we might have an advantage because we're not civilized?" Taman asked. "I'm saying we might have an advantage because we're human," Dr. Hyojin replied. "We've been fighting wars for thousands of years. We've learned to fight dirty when we have to. We know how to fight when we're outgunned and outnumbered." The debate continued for hours. Some leaders wanted to surrender and hope for the best. Others wanted to fight no matter what the cost. But slowly a decision began to form. President Ji-hoon finally spoke. "The aliens are expecting us to react like every other species they've conquered. They think we'll see their power and give up hope. But maybe that's our chance. Maybe we can surprise them." "What do you mean?" asked General Wu Jin. "They gave us 72 hours to surrender. Every other species probably used that time to prepare surrender ceremonies. But what if we use it to prepare for war? What if we use every hour to get ready to fight in ways they've never seen before?" The idea was crazy, but the more they talked about it, the more it made sense. The Kethmori Empire was so confident that they weren't even watching Earth closely. They were just waiting for the surrender message they knew would come. Captain So-Young started planning immediately. "If we're going to do this, we need to think differently. We can't match their technology, so we have to use what they don't expect. Surprise attacks, suicide missions, fighting in ways that their military computers can't predict. Colonel Kyung-soo was already thinking about specific tactics. They've never fought against nuclear weapons. Their shields are designed for energy weapons, not atomic explosions, and they've definitely never dealt with kamikaze attacks. Dr. Hee-jin added her thoughts. We need to capture some of their technology. If we can get our hands on even one of their ships, I might be able to figure out how their systems work, maybe find weaknesses. The meeting lasted all night, and by morning Earth had made its choice. They would not surrender. They would fight, even knowing they would probably lose, but they would fight in a way that the aliens had never seen before. President Ji-hoon sent a message to Admiral Taemin. Tell the aliens we need the full 72 hours to consider their offer. Don't tell them what we're really planning. When Taemin delivered the message, War Commander Velthar seemed pleased. Of course, Admiral. We understand that such a decision requires careful thought. We will wait for your answer. The alien commander ended the call with confidence. He had seen this pattern 47 times before. The humans were just going through the same process as every other species. Fear, denial, bargaining, and finally acceptance. In 72 hours, Earth would surrender, and the Kethmori Empire would have its 48th victory. But Velthar had never encountered humans before. He didn't understand that when humans were given time to prepare, they didn't prepare to surrender. They prepared to fight. And when humans prepared to fight, they prepared to do things that no civilized species would ever consider. The 72 hours began counting down, and across Earth, humanity began preparing for a war unlike any the galaxy had ever seen. The first day of preparation changed everything. While the alien fleet waited calmly in space, Earth became a planet at war with itself and time. Every nation, every military force, every scientist and engineer worked together like never before. Colonel Kyung-soo stood in the briefing room, looking at volunteers for the most dangerous mission ever attempted. He needed pilots willing to die to capture an alien ship. In front of him sat 30 of Earth's best pilots, and every single one had volunteered. This mission has no backup plan, Kyung-soo told them honestly. We're going to ram one of their scout ships with our fighters. The impact will probably kill everyone involved, but if we can disable their ship without destroying it, our boarding teams might be able to capture it. Pilot Min-ho raised his hand. Sir, what are the chances we'll survive the impact? Very low, Kyung-soo answered. Maybe 10%, Min-ho nodded. When do we launch? That was the human response the aliens didn't understand. Humans would die for their species, for their planet, for their freedom. The Kethmori valued individual life above everything else. They couldn't imagine anyone choosing certain death for a small chance at victory. Dr. Hye-jin worked in her laboratory, surrounded by every piece of alien technology Earth had ever found. Most of it came from crashed meteorites that scientists now realized were pieces of alien ships from other battles. She had only hours to understand technology that was thousands of years ahead of Earth's science. The good news is that they're not gods, she told her team. Their technology follows rules we can understand. Their shields work by deflecting energy, but they're not designed for solid objects moving at high speed. Their computers are advanced, but they use logical patterns we might be able to break. Her assistant, Jong-sik, looked worried. But doctor, even if we understand how their technology works, how can we build anything to fight it? We don't have their materials or their manufacturing methods. Dr. Hye-jin smiled. We don't need to build their technology. We need to build human technology that can defeat theirs. Sometimes the old ways work better than the new ones. Across the planet, General Wu Jin was organizing something the galaxy had never seen. He was preparing Earth for asymmetric warfare on a planetary scale. Every military leader from every nation was sharing their best tactics for fighting superior enemies. The aliens think war is about big ships fighting big ships, Wu Jin explained to his commanders. They think it's about matching strength against strength. But humans know better. We know that the small, fast, and unexpected can defeat the large, slow, and predictable. Commander Jae-sung was already planning raids on alien supply lines. Sir, their ships are powerful, but they need fuel and supplies just like ours do. If we can hit their support vessels, we can hurt them without fighting their battle cruisers directly. General Wu Jin nodded. Exactly. We fight the war they don't expect. We make them afraid to leave their big ships. We turn space around Earth into a place where they can't move safely. Meanwhile, Major Yoon-ji was preparing ground defenses that would confuse any alien invasion force. She was teaching soldiers tactics that no civilized military would ever use. Forget everything you know about honorable warfare. She told her troops, "Honor gets you killed when you're fighting superior enemies. We use dirty tricks. We hide among civilians. We make them afraid to trust anyone or anything." The soldiers looked uncomfortable, but they understood. Earth was fighting for survival, not glory. On the second day, Colonel Kyungsu's mission launched. 12 human fighters flew directly at an alien scout ship. The alien crew probably thought the humans were trying to communicate or surrender. They had never seen kamikaze attacks before. Minho led the attack. His fighter slammed into the alien ship's engine section at full speed. The explosion destroyed his ship completely, but it also disabled the alien vessel. 2 more fighters crashed into the scout ship's bridge, killing their pilots but destroying the alien command systems. The alien ship, crippled and helpless, was boarded by human special forces. For the first time in Kethmori history, one of their ships was captured by enemies who were supposed to surrender. War Commander Velthar received the report with shock. "What do you mean they rammed our ship? That makes no sense. Why would they destroy their own forces?" His aide was equally confused. "Sir, they seem to deliberately sacrifice their lives to disable our scout. It's not logical behavior." Velthar had studied 47 successful conquests. In every case, the enemy had tried to preserve their forces and minimize casualties. No species had ever used suicide attacks as a standard tactic. He made a note to increase security around the fleet, but he still expected Earth to surrender on schedule. Dr. Hyojin worked frantically on the captured alien ship. She had less than 24 hours to learn everything she could before the surrender deadline. What she found surprised her. "Their technology is incredible," she told President Ji-hoon over a secure communication link. "But it's also predictable. Everything is designed for efficiency and logic. There are no backup systems for dealing with irrational attacks." "What does that mean for us?" the president asked. "It means they've never fought an enemy that doesn't follow rules. Their shields can stop laser beams and plasma bolts, but they're not designed for old-fashioned explosives. Their computers can predict logical military moves, but they can't handle random or chaotic tactics." Dr. Hyojin continued her analysis. "I think I can build weapons that will work against their ships. Not better weapons, just different ones. Weapons they won't expect." As the third day dawned, Earth was ready in ways the aliens couldn't imagine. Hidden missile bases were built inside asteroids. Space stations were rigged with explosives. Civilian ships were converted into guided bombs. And most importantly, Earth's population was united in a way it had never been before. President Ji-hoon prepared for the final communication with the aliens. In a few hours, he would have to give Earth's answer to the surrender demand. Every world before Earth had used this moment to accept defeat. But Earth was about to do something that had never been done in galactic history. The president practiced his speech one last time. It was short and simple, but it would change everything. Admiral Taemin waited on his ship's bridge. He knew that in a few hours, Earth would either surrender or begin a war it couldn't win. But he also knew something else. If Earth was going to lose, it would lose fighting. And maybe, just maybe, other worlds would see that resistance was possible. The countdown reached its final hours. War Commander Velthar prepared to receive Earth's surrender. He had already started planning the integration ceremonies and the establishment of Kethmori government on the planet. But the humans were planning something completely different. They were planning to say no to an empire that had never heard that word before. They were planning to fight back against an enemy that expected only submission. The galaxy was about to learn what happened when humans were given a choice between freedom and slavery. The aliens expected surrender, but they were about to discover that humans had a different idea entirely. The 72 hours ended with a message that shocked the galaxy. President Ji-hoon appeared on screens across the Kethmori fleet, and his words were simple and clear. "We have considered your offer," he said calmly. "Our answer is no. We will not surrender our world. We will not surrender our freedom. If you want Earth, you will have to take it from us." War Commander Velthar stared at the screen in disbelief. In 300 years of conquest, no species had ever rejected the surrender option. He looked at his staff, but they were equally confused. "Perhaps they don't understand," suggested his second-in-command. Maybe their translation systems failed, but Velthar knew better. The humans understood perfectly. They were choosing war over slavery, death over submission. It was illogical, but it was also clear. "Begin the attack," Velthar ordered. "A demonstration of our power will make them reconsider." The Kethmori fleet moved toward Earth, expecting a quick battle against primitive defenders. What they found instead was something no alien military computer had ever been programmed to handle. The first surprise came from the asteroid belt. Hidden bases that looked like ordinary rocks suddenly opened fire. Nuclear missiles streaked toward the alien ships, moving too fast for the energy-based defense systems to track effectively. Captain Minho commanded one of these hidden bases. He had survived the kamikaze mission and volunteered for another dangerous assignment. As alien ships approached his position, he waited until the last possible moment before firing. "Remember," he told his crew, "we're not trying to destroy their big ships. We're trying to make them hurt, make them angry, make them scared." The nuclear warheads exploded against alien shields, causing damage the Kethmori had never experienced before. Their shields could absorb energy weapons, but the raw physical force of atomic explosions was something different entirely. Admiral Tae-min coordinated the space battle from Seoul's Pride. His ship was tiny compared to the alien vessels, but it was fast and unpredictable. Instead of engaging in direct combat, he led hit-and-run attacks that confused the enemy. "Attack Pattern 7, he ordered. "Hit their supply ships and retreat before they can respond." Earth's fighters swarmed around the massive alien vessels like angry insects. They were too small for the big guns to target effectively, but their missiles and explosives could damage important systems. The Kethmori found themselves fighting an enemy that refused to follow military logic. Human ships would attack and then retreat into asteroid fields where the larger alien vessels couldn't follow. They would strike at supply lines and communication arrays instead of engaging the main battle fleet. Major Yunji led the ground defense preparations. She knew the aliens would eventually land troops on Earth, and she was ready for them with tactics no civilized military would use. "Forget about protecting military bases," she told her soldiers. "The aliens will expect us to defend obvious targets. Instead, we hide among civilians. We attack when they don't expect it. We make them afraid to walk down any street." When the first alien landing ships reached Earth's surface, they found empty military bases and abandoned defensive positions. The human defenders had vanished, but they hadn't run away. They were hiding, waiting for the right moment to strike. The aliens established a base near the ruins of a human military installation. They set up their equipment and began scanning for human forces. What they found was nothing. No large formations, no organized resistance, no clear targets for their advanced weapons. Then the attacks began. A supply convoy would be destroyed by a hidden explosive device. A patrol would be ambushed by fighters who appeared from nowhere and vanished just as quickly. Communication towers would be sabotaged by humans who seemed to appear out of thin air. The Kethmori were trained to fight armies, not ghosts. Their weapons were designed to destroy enemy formations, not track individual terrorists. For the first time in their history, they found themselves fighting an enemy they couldn't see or predict. War Commander Velthar received reports that made no sense to him. "What do you mean our forces are taking casualties but we can't locate the enemy?" "Sir," his ground commander reported, "the humans don't fight like other species. They don't form battle lines or defend fixed positions. They attack our weakest points and disappear before we can retaliate." "Then destroy their cities," Velthar ordered. "Force them to surrender by threatening their population centers." But when the Kethmori targeted human cities, they found another surprise. The cities were empty. The civilian population had been evacuated and hidden in underground shelters and rural areas. There were no mass populations to threaten, no obvious targets to hold hostage. Captain So Young had planned for this possibility. The aliens are used to fighting species that value cities and infrastructure above everything else. But humans can survive anywhere. We can hide in caves, live in forests, fight from mountains and deserts. The war entered its second week, and the Kethmori Empire faced something they had never experienced before, an enemy that got stronger the longer the fight continued. Human forces were learning alien weaknesses and adapting their tactics accordingly. Engineer Chang Mi worked on the most dangerous project of all. Using technology captured from the alien scout ship, she was building computer viruses designed to attack Kethmori systems. "Their computers are more advanced than ours," she explained to her team. "But they're also more complex. More complexity means more ways to break them." Her first virus was simple but effective. It caused alien navigation systems to give false readings, making their ships appear in different locations than they actually were. This led to several incidents where Keth-Mori vessels fired on each other by mistake. Dr. Young-suk led a different kind of attack. As a biologist, she had studied samples from captured alien equipment and found something interesting. The Keth-Mori breathed oxygen like humans, but their immune systems had never encountered Earth diseases. "We're not trying to kill them," she explained to the military commanders. "We're trying to make them sick enough that they can't fight effectively." Modified Earth viruses were released into areas where alien forces operated. The diseases weren't lethal, but they caused severe respiratory problems that forced the aliens to wear full environmental suits at all times. This reduced their combat effectiveness and made them more vulnerable to human attacks. By the third week, War Commander Velthar was receiving reports from across his fleet about mysterious equipment failures, navigation errors, and troops too sick to fight properly. His perfect military machine was being destroyed by an enemy that fought like barbarians instead of soldiers. "Sir," his chief medical officer reported, "our troops are suffering from unknown biological agents. Our computer systems are being compromised by primitive but effective viral attacks. Our supply lines are under constant harassment." Velthar looked at the tactical displays showing his fleet's condition. For the first time in Keth-Mori history, an invasion was not proceeding according to plan. The humans were supposed to surrender after seeing alien superiority demonstrated. Instead, they were teaching the galaxy that advanced technology could be defeated by determination and unconventional thinking. Lieutenant Colonel Sung-hee prepared for the most ambitious human operation yet, a direct assault on the alien command ship. It was a plan so crazy that no military computer would ever recommend it, which made it perfect for fighting the Keth-Mori. The battle for Earth was far from over, but already the galaxy was watching with amazement. For the first time in 3 centuries, a species was fighting back against the Keth-Mori Empire, and incredibly, the humans were not losing as quickly as everyone expected. News of the resistance was spreading to other conquered worlds. Subject species that had accepted defeat years ago were beginning to wonder if they had given up too easily. The human example was becoming something the Keth-Mori Empire had never faced before. Inspiration for galactic rebellion. 6 months into the war, the impossible was happening. The Keth-Mori Empire, which had never lost a battle in 3 centuries, was struggling to defeat a single planet. War Commander Velthar stared at reports that showed his mighty fleet slowly falling apart. The humans had turned space around Earth into a nightmare for alien forces. Every supply ship that tried to reach the fleet faced attacks from hidden human bases. Every patrol that left the main formation risked being destroyed by suicide attacks, or captured by boarding parties that fought with desperate courage. Commander Jae-sung led the raids that were slowly strangling the alien fleet. His small ships struck like wolves, hitting supply convoys and retreating before the aliens could respond. His crews had learned to fight in ways that no computer could predict. "Target their ammunition ships," he told his pilots. "Don't try to destroy the big warships, just make sure they can't reload their weapons." The strategy was working. Keth-Mori battle cruisers, designed for short, overwhelming campaigns, were running low on energy cells and plasma charges. Their crews were forced to ration shots and avoid unnecessary combat. Dr. Hyejin had spent months studying captured alien technology, and she was finally ready to turn it against its creators. Working with engineer Chang Mi, she had developed something the galaxy had never seen: human-alien hybrid weapons. "We can't build their technology," she explained to Admiral Taman, "but we can build our technology using their principles. The result is something they won't expect and can't defend against." The first hybrid weapon was a missile that used human nuclear warheads guided by alien targeting systems. The warheads were more primitive than alien weapons, but they were also more unpredictable. Alien defense computers couldn't calculate the proper countermeasures. Chang Mi's computer viruses had evolved as well. Her latest creation was a program that learned alien system passwords by watching how they operated. Once inside an alien computer network, the virus could do incredible damage. "I call it the confusion virus," she told her team proudly. "It makes their ships think they're somewhere else, fighting someone else, with different weapons than they actually have." The virus spread through the alien fleet like a disease. Navigation systems began showing false information. Weapons targeting became unreliable. Communication networks started delivering the wrong messages to the wrong ships. The perfect Keth Mori military organization began making mistakes. On Earth's surface, Major Yunji's guerrilla campaign had evolved into something that terrified the alien ground forces. Human fighters had learned to use the planet itself as a weapon against the invaders. They control the air and the obvious strong points, she explained to her resistance cells. But they can't control everything. We own the shadows, the hidden places, the areas they think are empty. Alien patrols never knew when they might step on a hidden mine or be attacked by fighters emerging from underground tunnels. Their advanced sensors could detect large formations, but missed individual humans moving carefully through familiar territory. The psychological effect was devastating. Keth Mori troops, used to quick and easy victories, began suffering from stress and fear. They had never fought an enemy that seemed to be everywhere and nowhere at the same time. Dr. Young-suk's biological warfare program had expanded beyond simple diseases. She had created modified Earth bacteria that attacked alien equipment instead of alien bodies. Their metal is stronger than ours, she told President Ji-hoon, but it's not immune to corrosion. These bacteria eat the specific alloys they use in their ship hulls and weapon systems. The invisible attack spread throughout the alien fleet. Equipment that should have lasted for years began failing after weeks. Ship hulls developed weak spots that human weapons could penetrate. The technological superiority that the Keth Mori depended on was literally rotting away. War Commander Velthar called for reinforcements from the Empire, but the response was not what he expected. Other conquered worlds, inspired by human resistance, had begun their own rebellions. The Keth Mori military was fighting 3 different uprisings across the galaxy. The humans have given them hope, Velthar reported to his superiors. Species that accepted our rule peacefully are now questioning our authority. The Earth campaign has become a symbol of resistance. The turning point came when Lieutenant Colonel Sung Hee launched Operation Broken Chain. Her plan was so dangerous that even human military leaders thought it was suicide, but Sung Hee knew it was their best chance to end the war. We're going to board their command ship and capture their leader, she announced to her team. Not destroy the ship, capture it. Take their technology, their information, and their commander. The mission required perfect timing and incredible courage. Human fighters would have to penetrate the heaviest defenses in the alien fleet, land on the command ship, and fight their way to the bridge against superior enemies. Captain Minho, now recovered from his injuries, volunteered to lead the assault ships. If we're going to do something this crazy, we might as well do it right. The attack began at midnight, Earth time. While the main alien fleet was dealing with raids on their supply lines, a small force of human ships approached the command vessel from an unexpected direction. Changmi's viruses struck first, causing confusion in the ship's defense systems. Navigation computers showed false readings, making the defenders think the attack was coming from a different direction. Weapon systems targeted empty space while the real assault force approached undetected. Sung Hee's boarding party landed on the alien ship and immediately encountered problems no human had ever faced before. The ship's interior was designed for 4 armed aliens with different body proportions. Corridors were too wide, doorways were too tall, and control panels were impossible for humans to operate normally. But humans adapted. They always adapted. The boarding party used explosives to create their own passages and modified captured alien weapons to fit human hands. They fought through the ship using tactics that confused alien defenders, who expected logical military behavior. The battle inside the command ship was brutal and chaotic. Humans used close-range weapons that the aliens weren't prepared for. Alien defenders found themselves fighting enemies who seemed willing to die for any small advantage. Major Haiwan led the final assault on the bridge. Her team fought through corridors filled with alien technology, using captured equipment and improvised weapons. When they reached the command center, they found War Commander Velthar coordinating the defense of his ship. The alien commander was impressive, taller than any human, with 4 arms that could operate multiple weapons simultaneously. But he had never fought in hand-to-hand combat against enemies who specialized in close-quarters battle. Haiwan's team surrounded the alien leader, using tactics that no civilized military would approve of. They attacked from multiple directions, used human shields, and fought with a desperation that horrified the alien crew. When the battle ended, War Commander Velthar was a prisoner. For the first time in Kethmori history, one of their commanders had been captured by the species they were trying to conquer. The news spread throughout both fleets instantly. Human forces celebrated their incredible victory, while alien crews struggled to understand how their supreme leader could be defeated by primitive enemies. President Ji-hoon received the report with amazement and hope. "You're telling me we actually captured their commander? How is that possible?" "Because we fight different than they do," Admiral Taemin explained. "They expect logical tactics and predictable strategies. We give them chaos and desperation. We fight like humans and they don't know how to handle that." The capture of Velthar changed everything. The alien fleet lost its coordination and began operating as individual ships rather than a unified force. More importantly, subject species across the galaxy saw that the mighty Kethmori could be defeated. Rebellion spread like fire through the Empire. Worlds that had been peaceful for decades suddenly erupted in violence. The perfect galactic order that the Kethmori had built was cracking, and it all started with one small planet that refused to surrender. Earth had become something the galaxy had never seen before, proof that the impossible was possible. The final battle began when the Kethmori Empire sent their entire reserve fleet to Earth. They could not allow human resistance to inspire more rebellions across the galaxy. If Earth won, the Empire would face uprisings on dozens of worlds. Fleet Admiral Dong-hyun stood on the bridge of the rebuilt Soul's Pride, now equipped with hybrid human-alien technology. Around him, the combined forces of Earth prepared for the largest space battle in human history. "This is it," he announced to his fleet. "Everything we've learned, everything we've built, everything we've sacrificed, it all comes down to this fight." The alien reinforcement fleet was massive, more ships than had attacked any single world in Kethmori history. But these ships faced enemies they had never encountered before. Humans who had spent a year learning how to fight gods. Captain Sujin commanded the first wave of hybrid ships. Her vessel combined human creativity with alien technology, creating something that was more effective than either alone. The ship could move like a human fighter but hit like an alien battlecruiser. "Remember the plan," she told her crew. "We're not trying to match them ship for ship. We're trying to break their formation and make them fight as individuals instead of as a fleet." The battle began with something the aliens had never seen. Coordinated attacks by ships that didn't follow any recognizable pattern. Human vessels struck from multiple directions simultaneously, using tactics that confused alien targeting computers. Engineer Changmi's final virus struck at the perfect moment. As the alien fleet tried to coordinate their attack, their communication systems began broadcasting false orders. Ships received commands meant for other vessels. Battle formations broke apart as vessels followed contradictory instructions. Dr. Hee-jin watched from Earth as her hybrid weapons performed better than she had hoped. Human nuclear warheads guided by alien technology struck with incredible accuracy. The primitive explosives caused damage that advanced alien shields couldn't handle. "It's working," she reported to President Ji-hoon. "Their shields are designed for energy weapons. They can't absorb the physical force of our atomic explosions." War Commander Velthar, now a prisoner, watched the battle from his cell. He could see his forces struggling against enemies who refused to fight fairly. The humans used every dirty trick, every desperate tactic, every advantage they could find. "Why do you fight this way?" he asked his guard, Major Haewon. "Your tactics are dishonorable. You sacrifice your own forces without hesitation." Haewon looked at the alien commander with something like pity. "Because honor doesn't matter when your species is facing extinction. Because sometimes survival requires doing things that civilized people wouldn't do." The alien didn't understand, and Haewon realized he never would. The Kethmori had conquered so many worlds that they had forgotten what it meant to fight for survival. In space, the battle reached its critical moment. Colonel In-woo led the special operation. That would decide everything. A direct assault on the alien fleet's command structure using the most advanced virus Changmi had ever created. "This virus doesn't just attack their computers," In-woo explained to his team. "It attacks their entire command system. Once it's in their network, their ships won't be able to coordinate with each other at all." The mission required getting close enough to the alien fleet to upload the virus directly into their communication array. It was essentially a suicide mission, But Inwu's volunteers didn't hesitate. They launched in small, fast ships designed to look like debris from the battle. The alien fleet was so busy fighting the main human force that they didn't notice the tiny vessels approaching their command ships. When Inwu's team reached the alien communication array, they discovered something amazing. The human resistance had inspired rebellions throughout the galaxy, and some of those rebellions had members inside the Kethmori fleet itself. "We are slaves who serve on their ships," a voice said over the communication system. "We have been waiting for someone to show us how to fight back. Upload your virus. We will help it spread." The virus propagated through the alien fleet like wildfire, assisted by subject species who had been forced to serve the Empire. Within hours, the mighty Kethmori armada was reduced to individual ships fighting without coordination or central command. Admiral Dong Hyun saw his opportunity and took it. "All ships, final assault. Hit them before they can reorganize." The human fleet struck like a pack of wolves, attacking isolated alien vessels that could no longer support each other. Ships that had seemed invincible when fighting together became vulnerable when forced to fight alone. Captain Sujin led her squadron against the alien flagship. The massive vessel was still more powerful than anything humanity had built, but it was also alone and confused. Her hybrid ships swarmed around it, striking at weak points that Dr. Hai-Jin had identified. The flagship's shields finally failed under the combined assault of nuclear warheads and viral attacks. For the first time in galactic history, a Kethmori capital ship was destroyed by enemies they had intended to conquer. The destruction of the flagship broke the alien fleet's will to fight. Ship after ship began sending surrender signals. Another thing that had never happened in Kethmori military history. President Ji-hoon received the news with amazement and relief. "They're surrendering? The aliens are actually surrendering to us." "It appears so," Admiral Dong Hyun reported. "Their fleet is in complete disarray. Several ships are requesting permission to negotiate." The formal surrender came when the remaining alien commanders asked to speak with War Commander Velthar. The captured alien leader was brought to the negotiation table, where he faced something he had never imagined, having to surrender to a species he had planned to conquer. Ambassador Yeon-su represented Earth in the peace talks. She had studied galactic law and Kethmori customs, and she knew exactly what to demand. "The Kethmori Empire will recognize Earth as an independent world," she announced. "You will withdraw all forces from our solar system. You will establish trade relations with us as equals, not as conquerors and subjects." Velthar looked around the room at the humans who had defeated his empire. They were small, primitive, and illogical, but they had done something no one else in the galaxy had ever accomplished. "Your terms are acceptable," he said quietly. "The Empire will honor your independence." But Yeon-su wasn't finished. "There's one more condition. Any world in your empire that wants independence must be allowed to choose freely. No more forced conquests, no more threatening species with extinction if they refuse to surrender." The demand was revolutionary. It would change the entire structure of galactic civilization. But Velthar knew he had no choice. The human example had already inspired rebellions across the empire. If he refused, those rebellions would become full-scale wars. "Agreed," he said. "The Empire will adapt to these new circumstances." News of Earth's victory spread across the galaxy faster than anyone had thought possible. World after world declared independence from the Kethmori Empire. Species that had been slaves for generations suddenly remembered what freedom meant. President Ji-hoon addressed the United Earth Council for the last time as a wartime leader. "The aliens expected us to surrender because that's what every other species had done. They thought resistance was impossible because no one had ever tried it seriously." He paused, looking out at the representatives of humanity, but they made one mistake. They assumed we would react like everyone else. They didn't understand that humans don't surrender. When faced with impossible odds, we don't give up. We adapt, we fight. We find a way to win. The war was over, but its effects would last forever. Earth had become the first world to successfully resist the Kethmori Empire. More importantly, humans had shown the galaxy that advanced technology and overwhelming force could be defeated by courage, creativity, and the refusal to accept defeat. War Commander Velthar was released as part of the peace agreement. Before leaving Earth, he asked to speak with President Ji-hoon one final time. "I studied 47 successful conquests before coming to your world," he said. "In every case, the species surrendered when they saw our power. I thought your species would do the same." President Ji-hoon smiled. That was your mistake. You studied our technology and our military, but you didn't study our history. If you had, you would have learned that humans have never been very good at surrendering. As the alien ships departed Earth's solar system, humanity began a new chapter in galactic history. They had proven that freedom was worth fighting for, that the impossible could become possible, and that sometimes the smallest and most primitive species could change the entire galaxy. The aliens had expected surrender, but humans had given them something else entirely, a lesson in what it meant to fight for survival, freedom, and the right to exist as an independent species in a hostile universe.